Hi there, this is Jim the Keys bartender. I'm sorry, I just came right in there, didn't I? Instead of fading it out. Today's episode, it's going to be a live. It's a live episode, isn't it? It's episode 254. We call it. What did I write down? Outpatient visit. I think outpatient call or something like that. We had a 3-minute. I had 3 minutes, and I'm going to try to call. I'll start the show, and then I'll try to call Joel again on Skype. He wasn't available right then. But when I say I'm going to start the show at 3, I got to start it at 3. Otherwise, I lose all credibility. Everyone's going through the same thing, so I'm not going to discuss the news. If you're listening to this podcast, obviously you have access to the internet, and you know the craziness is going on and how everyone's trying to figure out the new normal right now. And just recently, I have been looking for an electric vehicle. I've been looking at the Tesla, the Model 3, or the Chevy Bolt. And the Chevy Bolt's more in my price range right now, but I've been told that there's some questionability about their build quality. But I swear to God, I was just like, either I was going to do this, I was going to make the move before I went to Poland or after I went to Poland. I think we're going to Poland right now. So with the way things are, I kind of held off on that. And I was looking around, but they're giving great deals. So there would be some consideration. If there's that much savings, if there's 3-4 months savings in a month from now, then I figure if I don't have to make the first several payments, that it would be advantageous for me to purchase if I think that we'll be out of it in a couple months. So, but I didn't want to make that decision right now. I feel that I have a lot of time on my hands right now. But as it would happen, just 2 days ago or 3 days ago, I get a phone call from a local Chevy dealership inquiring whether I'm still looking for a electric vehicle. And I guess it's one of those dealerships that have several different makes under their name. So I mentioned that I was looking for that, but I mean, and then I paused and I said, well, yeah, I was looking for an electric vehicle, primarily from you guys, in a Chevy Bolt. And they went on, and I said, are you kidding me? And they said, well, there's a lot of reasons to buy today. And I said, yeah, and there's one big reason why not to. Having to sign on and make a big commitment. And
Message from Joel Miskell. Would you like me to read it?
Yes. I'm responding to my...
Sorry, I didn't catch that.
I have my hands free talking to me. Yes.
Sorry, I didn't catch that. Can you repeat?
I am responding to Joel. I guess Joel was trying to get a hold of us. Let me get back and let's see what he has to say here. Are we on for today? Yes, I called you several times. Let me give him a call right now. But to finish the story, I'll just finish the story back when we come back on. That was going on. I guess I'll have to explain it to Joel, but I'll make it much shorter. Here we go. Let's see. He was busy, even though he thinks. Let's see what.
Please leave a message.
At the tone, please record your message. When you have finished recording, you may hang up or press 1 for more options.
Mm-hmm. Hey, Joel. You just asked if we're doing a meeting today, show today, and we are doing a show, but you haven't picked up. So I'll call you back. Let's see, maybe You're not picking up on that. Or you add another, if you're on another number, you should answer the number that we normally speak to, because I don't have the other phone number. Unless you give me, if you want to text it to me, that'd be great. Okay? Thank you. Okay, let's see. Okay, Joel, if you're listening to the show, what you do is when I call you, you pick up the phone.
New message from Joel Nispel.
Okay.
Would you like me to read it?
Oh.
Sorry.
You're not on. What's going on? Joel, I'm literally calling you right now. Hello?
Hi, it's Joel. Please leave a message.
Okay, let's try this again, Joel. What's going on?
At the tone, please record your
on another
message.
number? I
When
think
you have
you're on
finished
another
recording,
number.
you may hang up or press 1 for more options.
Hi, Joel. I'm calling the number that we normally talk to on there, so all you have to do is pick up. And it says you're on. I don't see you. Okay, bye. Well, this is fun. Let's see. Is it... Should I call Gabby's number? Should I call Gabby's or what? Are you on a different phone? Joel, you're on a different phone. You are on a different phone, I imagine. Okay, I'm going to call you again. Okay, and then I'm going to have to continue with the show, Joel. I don't know what else to do. Do you have this on your cell phone, maybe? Literally calling you right now on the phone number.
Hi,
Hello?
it's Joel. Please leave a message.
Joel, I'm in getting your answer machine. Okay. Joel, I am getting your answering machine, so you aren't picking up.
New message from Joel Nispel. Would you like me to read it?
Yes. Let's call this one.
Sorry, I didn't catch that. Can you repeat? Sorry, I didn't catch that. Can you repeat?
No, don't ask. I'm sorry, folks. Yeah, this is the phone number I'm
having
calling.
trouble. Let's talk later.
Okay. Joel, I just called you. Okay. Hello? Joe? Okay. There we go. Hello? Is it who you're looking for?
Hi, it's Joel. Please leave a message.
Okay.
At the tone, please record your message. When you have finished recording, you may hang up or press 1 for more options.
Say answer or ignore.
Hello, Joel?
If you are satisfied with your message, press 1. To listen to your message, press 2. To erase and rewrite. To send your message with normal delivery, press
I
1.
actually got your message
To send
on
your message
answer
with
machine.
urgent delivery, press 2.
Unless you're blocking numbers.
Are you
Well, unless you pick up the phone, there's nothing I could do right now, Joel. I mean, I look at it. I have it right here. Well, I'm calling it. Let's go. Let me put it in. Stop it. What? You saw it? 409-4419, right? Hello? Okay. Oh, technology is so exasperating. Hello? There we go. No. Oh, this is fun.
Hey, is that you?
Yep, it's me.
Yeah. All right, it worked. I have no idea. It
Oh,
just wasn't coming through.
I was calling you.
Yeah.
The whole
Okay.
time. I called it.
Yeah.
I called it 3 minutes of, and then
Yeah.
3 o'clock,
I don't.
and it said you're not available when I called.
Yeah. Well,
Okay.
here we are.
The problems,
I
though,
don't
the
know.
travails of technology, right?
I'll tell you, man. Yeah.
Yeah. So I was telling
We're
someone,
up.
since we spent the first 11 minutes, while I was explaining, I'm gonna give you the bullet points on this. I was
Yes.
recently looking in for an electric vehicle, and then we'll ask you how. I want to finish the story because we had an 8-minute sojourn right there. I'm looking for an electric vehicle prior to everything going here, starting about a month and a half, 2 months ago. And 3 days ago, I get a phone call from a Chevy dealership, but they also have other makes. And they call up and ask if I'm still interested in an electric vehicle, and I say yes. And I said, but
Yeah.
I'm considering, I'm taking my time now, considering, well, why would you want to reconsider when there's some great deals out there? And I said, well, I'm like, well, I'm ready to ask, why would you not want to go to a wedding? Why would you not want to take a flight? Why would you not want to do anything right now? I said, answer the question. Why would you not? And, I want to see how things shake out. Whether I'm employed. I have 2 vehicles right now with no place to go. So the electric vehicle really wouldn't save me any money right now, considering we're not driving anywhere. I mean, the most I drive right now is to make my infrequent trips to the store. My using safe distance and which I wanted to talk about eventually.
Yeah.
So I thought that was interesting that they were still. I used to work in a car dealership, and I understand they got to sell cars.
Yeah.
That's their raison d'etre. That's what they're supposed to be doing. That's a reason for being. If they don't sell cars, they don't pay rent, and the people are still collecting rent. I mean, they're not. Some landlords are being kind about that and foregoing rent, and other people are just saying, "Hey, listen, I need to pay my bills too." So. And they
haven't. So they haven't.
Salespeople are paid
pitch.
by commission. So, what were you going to say?
Yeah. No, they haven't adapted the pitch to current circumstances.
Yeah. Well, she chimed in right away and said, "Hey, listen, you don't have to make a payment for the first 3 months." And I'm going like this. Well, what if we're out for 5 months? And they go, like this. What if it's not till August? And and the first 6 months, and what am I, if I don't have any money? What are you going? I'll just have a repossession on my hand. So, why don't we just wait and see? Unless we're going to make it for if they make it 6 months. If they make it, we're pretty much if things don't shake out quickly and people don't get their acts together, and that's on the national, local, and personal scale, then we're going to have a lot bigger problems than an automobile repo in my life. There's going to be other things, so we have to deal with. But it's just interesting, the sales call, and obviously we still get people doing the scam on social media. Joel, there's people selling their furniture. They're still posting their properties for sale,
right?
As if someone's going to make, considering the more, I guess, how disassociated you are with reality. You'd say, well, hey, now's a really good time to purchase property, because people are ready to make a deal. You know,
I think it's the shakeout. It's a shakeout right now, and like, who's going to survive and who's going to come back strong? They're going to be the creative ones who can take a look at this and see new opportunities. It's not going to be the same old.
Yeah. Well, I did have one of the friends of the show, Maggie, was one of our early listeners, one of my first 10 listeners, Maggie, and from the VFW. She works there, and Chef Clark. I'm going to send a shout out to Chef Clark and Maggie. And she contacted me and said, you know, Chef Clark had a great idea. Why don't you do an online trivia night and hosted by you, and you could put out a tip jar and stuff like that. And they had an application called a tip jar, or they have Venmo and all that stuff. And I said, oh, that's a wonderful idea. I just don't see it as mine. There's a friend of mine that did a regular trivia night, acquaintance, you know, but I worked with him, a great guy named Sean, and he did it at the Catch on Tuesdays, and he has everything set up for it. You know, matter of fact, he has I guess he uses PowerPoint or something like that to do it, and it's suited for, he could do it online. Now, imagine it's already set up, you know, for doing, instead of me trying to, I would do it more like verbally setting it up, and instead I'd have to write everything down. And and I'm not poo-pooing the idea. I'm just saying it's these guys have been doing it for a couple of years. It's really easy for them. I mean, it's hard to come up with their material and their new questions, but they already have their setup for it. And for me to do it, it'd be like me horning in on something, and I probably wouldn't be that good at it. And it would take away from what I really love doing, and which is this, talking to you, my friend. And I had changed the opening when I couldn't get a hold of you, like 3 minutes before the show, and I'm going to go live, because I told people I'm going to go live at 3 o'clock, even if there's only like one or two people, live listeners, right? Because it doesn't really matter. I could record it and release it.
Right. Yeah.
There's not, the live component of it isn't that critical or crucial. But what I found is when I do a live show, it's crossing the Rubicon. I can't take it back. It's locking the keys in the car. So it's out there. If I record something and I don't like the quality of it, I start second guessing and saying, I start messing around with it. I start deleting. Like I would have deleted all that time that I was trying to call you when you text back and stuff like that. But that's actually kind of funny in retrospect.
Yeah, no, it has a certain charm.
Yeah.
So it's a little different than the usual.
Yeah, and so if I started trying to figure out how to do an online trivia, plus, you know, almost anything, I'm barely passable as a podcaster. You're the psychologist. I have my own, I guess, who I think I am, what I identify myself as, right?
Yeah.
I have my identity, and I've been doing this. It's I think today or tomorrow is 3 years I've been doing this. And this is, even though it says episode 254, I think we may have done over 300 episodes, because some I deleted and did all this other stuff. You know, there's extra episodes out there.
And you aren't like all talked out. You're always fresh. You always have another point of view.
I think I'm kind of happy.
But the other thing is, man, you're in a unique position, because who else is doing podcasts from the Keys?
Okay. I was going to say, I told the way you were going, who else is doing podcasts? And I was going to say, you know, in the next month, there's going to be a millionth podcast listed on iTunes. I said, who else is doing it?
Who isn't?
Literally a million people, the size of a
Who
large
isn't
city.
doing podcasts?
Yeah.
Well, no, but I think you're in a unique position. You might, I don't know, this is just off the top of my head. What do I know? But maybe try to bring in one of the, I don't know if you have mayors there of like Key Largo or whatever, you know,
We
or
have
somewhere
mayors,
else.
yeah. It's weird how they call it. They got county commissioners. They got the mayor of the Monroe County. I didn't realize until they mentioned it. Has a mayor, Mayor Carruthers.
Okay.
I never heard of her until this moment.
Yeah.
I guess it's the head commissioner. I don't know how a county could have a mayor. You know.
You know.
I figure that's
kind
more
of weird.
a title for a municipality. It's like being president.
Yeah. The question is who's you know, whose convenience does that suit?
Yeah, I'm president. I'm president of the bar. I'm president of my bar. You know.
Yeah, that's right. Declare yourself.
Yeah, or I think I'm. Well, actually, I would be president for life, or an absolute monarch. That's what I would declare myself. And I would have a really ornate kind of. I would be more dressed warlike, like a medieval.
Good
king,
one. Good
you
one.
know, that's what I would do. Or someone considering the time, maybe something out of a post-apocalyptic movie.
Chain of mail, something like that.
Yeah,
You know.
something like Road Warrior.
Horns on a metal helmet.
Leather.
I can
metal
picture that.
helmet.
I can picture that, Jim.
Yeah.
I think whether or not you ever do that, that would be a great
But
logo.
it'd be tough. You know, a lot of times they wore those. That was Northern Europe and stuff like that. They didn't wear those. They were more. You got to it was more flowing robes, more like Lawrence of Arabia type guy. You know.
It's going south.
Oh yeah,
going
or more
south,
tropical, like a
the chainmail was just a
potentate
little
in
too
Polynesia.
hot. Right.
Yeah.
That's it.
Someone
You need a fez.
like an Aztec.
You need a fez, man.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I was out today, and I will discuss. I'll tell you about this. I was out today. I went out to. I had to deposit several checks. My paychecks going way back. I mean, I had old paychecks. I have a couple paychecks left to put in the bank, fortunately, and currently I am not. There is no income coming into our household. But fortunately, we had held off. We were saving for a trip to Poland. So this is going to pretty much soak up that. And there's going to be some federal...
Well, they're into
and
the
state,
Poland right now.
Unemployment, we have yet... I mean, I have no idea what's going on with that. I made an application for that. And I know I paid into it. I mean, I meet the... well above the minimum earnings in order to receive unemployment, but Abby was having difficulties on the online application. Matter of fact, I was having difficulties applying for Abby, and we're waiting for the federal relief and stuff like that. And she still has her. I mean, luckily we got our refunds from the federal government too, but that's going to be that by the time. You know, June rolls around. Who knows what's going to be happening? It's going to be kind of tight if things going on. But I mean, I'm sure all the listeners, a lot of people in the Keys, and as I mentioned before, we're I don't know where we arrived at this figure, but it's over 50% of the people are either directly involved with the tourist economy or in the affiliate industries that supply the people that handle the tourist industry down here.
Yeah.
And without that influx of money, we've just missed it. It unfortunately, or I don't know, it could have been worse. Meaning, if it happened in the fall, we would have missed the whole season, and we would have, or let's say, if it happened in October. After a long, slow season, where everyone was pretty much tapped anyway, and then it rolls in there, that would have been more dire, I guess. But
Yeah.
I can't think of anything more down here that would be worse for the economy than that. And that being said, I completely understand why we have to close it down.
Yeah, no, I mean it is what it is.
And
See,
while
but
I
you
was
have-
out,
I don't have the same income, financial issues that you do.
no,
I'm retired, so I'm floating above all that, like income, work, things like that, and I'm just watching the investments that I live off dwindle, crash. Maybe crash is a better word.
yeah, that's
And,
that's another
you know.
thing. That's another thing. People, is causing anxiety in the people and stuff like that. But today, while I'm out, I saw a range of responses, meaning what you can just anecdotally by looking at people how they consider it. I've seen older people
Yeah.
who smoke. I know people. I saw a person that I know smokes at least 2 packs a day and drinks a decent amount. Go out with just she had some gloves on, and she's got to be in her early 60s, and she's out there at the store. And then I see young guys, people. They look like they live a different social kind of. Listen, this guy he was missing a couple teeth. He looked to be he could have been anywhere from his late 20s to early 40s, right?
Yeah, meth.
Okay, I don't know. I can't tell by looking at him and stuff like that. And he's just rolling around, not concerned. It's not, contracting the coronavirus isn't his major concern. His concern may be, I don't want to be too judgmental, would be getting like his next 6-pack or what's he going to do tonight and all this stuff. But
Yeah.
that was the, and I seen a couple out together. I saw yesterday a DO, right? A medical doctor, right? It's a DO.
Yeah.
When I say MD, you could be MD DO, right?
Well, DO is Doctor of Osteopathy,
Okay.
which is a little different than an MD,
Yeah.
but they have the same accreditations. They can do
well,
the
guy,
same
I
work.
think the guy's a DO, and he's out with his wife.
Yeah. Yeah.
No protection, no facial protection, just out there.
Yeah.
But they dabble in Eastern stuff and all that.
Yeah.
So I really didn't quite get the message he was giving out, because you figure someone part of the medical community would do it. But then again, I've seen some people in the medical community that when I said there was a couple prior to the ball rolling really quickly, but right in the beginning of March, like 10 days into March, when spring break started, they took several of my daughter's classmates, my daughter, with their child on a ski trip. Now, we already know, like, it was right as soon as spring break started, the ball was rolling really quick. It was moving really fast. And
That's
throughout
right.
the states, and they decided that it was a good idea to keep on going on a trip. And I just looked at Abby, and it happened, and I have to reiterate, it was happening so quickly that in 2 days, the ideas changed. You notice how they changed a lot. You have some people
It
saying
happened
some
very
really
quickly.
nonsensical things.
And it wasn't just here, like I mentioned before. Within really 2 days, we started getting messages from Spain, don't come back.
Yeah.
So it was that quick.
Yeah.
It was like about the second week in March.
That's
Right.
exactly what happened. They started closing down the ski slopes.
Yeah.
The states were closing down.
Yeah.
They decided to go on, instead of turning around and trying to come home, they tried to salvage the thing. Just like, and I don't have enough to really speak to the cruise ships that were coming in, and I'm not damning them because, I'm not, leaving them out there is not an option. There's things we can do, but they are using up valuable resources. If they did decide to go on the trip after things started changing, shame on them for sucking up
Well, I don't.
resources.
no, I
Like,
don't-
they may have been extended. It could have happened, like it could have been one of the 3-week cruises, and they could have got on it right before all this stuff started happening. What?
Yeah, sure. I mean, I don't. The biggest, when I started getting those messages, don't come back.
Mm-hmm.
But it was starting to break on this part of the Atlantic too, that it was going to get closed down. And New York was the epicenter, blah blah blah, and oddly enough, and we had the return trip scheduled, so we started getting these messages on a Thursday from Spain. Our return trip was scheduled for Sunday. And so we had to make some quick decisions. And you know the story. My daughter jumped in, insisted we come down, stay here out in Virginia with her. And but my main concern was not how that would work once I got back to Spain, because we're kind of tucked off, and we're in a walled compound there, or a little house, and it probably would have been fairly safe there, considering. But my greatest concern was, like, do I really want to spend 6-8 hours in a metal tube at 30,000 feet with recirculated air? So now I'm wondering about this couple and who they were taking out to go skiing. That to me, that would be the main danger, getting on the plane and around the airport.
Listen, just
Right?
yesterday, Joel, I had one of my daughter's friends. I mean, we thought we put this all to rest. That it's been 4 or 5 days or 6 days or a week since she got the idea that hey, no more play dates, no more things. I'm 13 years old, no more get-togethers.
Yeah.
Right? Well, I mean, she's starting to wear thin. She goes, why can't Demi come over? And Demi was one of the ones that went on the trip, right? And I go, well, I'm sure her parents. I'm sure her parents won't let her come over, and I go,
yeah.
And she goes, yeah, they will. And my daughter said this, yes, they will. I said, I'm gonna have to talk to the parents. But then again, wait, why would they need to talk to your parents? If they decided already that it's all right for that to happen, and I'm sorry I mentioned the girl's name, but then if this isn't enough, what's going on, if this isn't enough to convince you that we're in it for real, that it's not a hoax, then anything I would have said on the phone would have been ridiculous. If it's hard enough.
I don't think you can.
If
argue
you're dealing with a
with
child and their friends, the parents of the friends, you think, if they don't think it's a big deal, it's much like the people's ideas of when they get a little older about giving alcohol to the teenagers and all that stuff. It's just like this cross, like how, I hate to say it, I'm going to say it, it's fucked up that someone would make a decision that if you knew, like if I knew my friend over here was a conservative Jew, right?
Yeah.
And I had the kid over, and I said I had all ham products out, and it's in the middle of Passover, right? And I'm just I'm pushing it on the kid. I'm just saying that unreal, just those things, or trying to expose to my belief system.
There's some cognitive shearing going on there. It's not quite. It's some slippage.
I mean,
but
how about a little consideration? Like, I don't believe, if you are, there's people that are ensconced in gun culture, leaving their guns out. Giving their kids, where the kid kills, they have a party. We've had someone happen here at a party. They got a hold of a gun, and kid got killed. So it was an accident. But dude, it's if you can't, How are you teaching? How can you teach your kids to be responsible if the parents, if the decision making from the top down is fucked up?
Well, no. Well, first of all, Wednesday is Passover, right?
Mm-hmm.
You know, and we're gonna have our matzo ball soup and all that good stuff.
Mm-hmm.
But also, we decided, or I've just decided right now after listening to you, we're also going to lay out some guns on the table and drape them with ham.
We're gonna what? You're gonna
What?
You're gonna lay them out on the table?
We're going to drape some ham over guns laid out on the table. Yeah.
Okay. Well, it's just one of those
What do you
things,
think?
or people making decisions without considering someone else's feelings. You know what I mean? If you're, it's just like I realize, like one of my daughter's friends' families, very religious, not, from the Christian tradition, and they're very religious, kind of extremely religious. But, I try not to, when anything they ask about something, I said, well, that's something Abby believes in and stuff like that. But I mean, you can learn about that from your parents. I'm not gonna pass that on to you. It's not my decision. And whatever dietary requirements that they have. Now, I mean, I would consider that. I said, do you have this? Do you, some people don't even drink in their house. So,
Right.
But it happens. I know the Keys aren't the only place, but the Keys are, and it's one of the criticisms of some of the people that raise kids in the Keys. They set a bad example for their children. And here I am, a bartender. They set a bad example for their children.
Yeah, but you're when you say you're a bartender, one of the things I was just thinking of is we're roughly in the same business. You and I, me, clinical psychologists, trying to help people. You a bartender. They always lay their problems on you, and you have to help them out, entertain them, whatever. But you realize
no.
I see what you're saying.
There's where the subtle difference is between us. I don't have to help them out. I have to see, as a bartender, I have to outweigh the good of the many versus the good of the few. So if someone's having a psychotic meltdown at the bar, the session ends right now. If someone had a psychotic meltdown with you, you would just do more intensive treatment.
Oh no!
Or send them someplace for more intensive treatment.
I might send them someplace, but early on for my prison work, and then I adapted it to my private practice. Never get between the patient and the door.
Uh-huh.
That's just the way that one works.
Yeah, I've been.
But what I am saying, and I've observed you,
mm-hmm.
student of behavior that I am, I have observed you at the Catch, and you have you have things that you say to people that you drop out that are I can react to, let's say, as a clinician, which is to give them a little nudge in the right direction, reinforce them in another direction, and make them, allow them to feel safe and happy, and let them be good consumers. But you have your wisdom that you drop on people.
There was my greatest achievement was last year. There was a woman who came in, and she, I'll tell you, she's very negative, and she used to get kind of loud, and she was in her early 40s. She would expose herself regularly, her breast and all that stuff. But she could get really nasty, really mean and stuff like
Yeah.
that. And she was banned from a bunch of other establishments in her area, which I know of.
Yeah.
And she was getting on that. I could see it, and because alcohol is a depressant, I could see the more she drank,
Yeah.
the worse she was getting, and all this was happening. And I just looked at her, and I said, "This isn't you. This is not what you're like. You're a good person. You know, you're a kind person, and you know what? I care how you feel." And I said that, and she just she gave me a high five, and she settled down
There you go.
for that night.
Yeah.
For that night.
Yeah.
But rarely do I get the opportunity to do that because it's kind of busy.
Yeah.
And
Yeah. No, I'm
the
talking
difference
about
between a bartender is that sometimes on a busy night you're dealing with 40, 50 people immediately. I mean, over the course of the night it could be hundreds. But and then
I've seen you in action, right?
it's hard, to look at someone and make it the correct assessment. But
Yeah.
and
But I'm talking.
you really
talking
don't.
about-
You don't leave with that. If you're drinking, if you're really over imbibing, you don't really get any treatment, do you?
Yeah. No, but I'm talking about your usual banter is usually, have I said usual enough in this sentence? It's like in a positive direction. You're slipping in your little Zen, Sufi messages and that sort of thing. Yeah, you're right there, man. That's why we've kind of bonded. Yeah.
Oh, thank you, Joel. That's very.
Yeah.
I wanted to tell you a little about. I went back to. I've had more success with those Zoom meetings. I haven't had another incident.
Okay.
There has been an incident where someone exposed their enormous penis or posted any type of porn during it.
Yeah.
So
See, now,
they're
I just
getting
wanna-
better
Jim,
with the protocols.
Jim, I just want to say, you see, that's the kind of stuff I appreciate.
What, porn?
Yeah, people exposing themselves, general porn.
In the middle of treatment,
yeah.
if someone was in the middle of to stand
Middle
up
of
and
a
say,
session?
"Hey doc,
Middle
what
of
do you think about this? Here you go. I got some.
Well,
Let
I
me
have
lay
my
this
set
out
of-
for you."
I have my set answer to anybody who's going to expose himself and say, "What do you think of this?" My set answer is not much.
Well, we're
Yeah,
back. We're
yeah.
back to the thing. The meetings are larger. These meetings that I guess they weren't used to them before because they had the online meetings, and generally online meetings were for people that couldn't get out of their house or were hours away from me. So now people are. The other day, I checked out Miami. Miami was incredible, and then I went to a couple different Miami ones online, and I went to England, the United Kingdom, to the Midlands. It was a wonderful meeting.
Very
I'm
cool.
not ruining anybody's anonymity. I'm just saying the meetings and my biggest concern when I went there was that I wouldn't quite understand the accent.
Lingo.
Nope,
Yeah.
no problem whatsoever. And the guy that was on, he was a Scotsman. He was on, and he was great. He was one, and that was in the Midlands. And then earlier today, I was in L.A.
Yeah.
And that was
Yeah.
a good one. So the nice thing about I was trying to get the idea about, and it's not. I'm going to take this away from my sobriety, and take it to, if you need company, I wouldn't be surprised if there aren't new groups forming where people can use this and do this on their own. So I would start looking, if I was any of the listeners out there, if you have any particular interest, you could create a group in Zoom or Google or what's the other one? Some PAL, something, not PayPal, but something else. And I think FaceTime you could do up to like 4 people, maybe more, Who knows? But there's a lot of them where you just get together and you're going to have your group chat and all that stuff. There are people doing. My niece had a virtual party. They had a virtual party on there, where from their houses, but
that's great.
Great thing about it, you're sitting there talking to people, and everyone has their thing. Whether some people are laying in bed, other people are sitting at their desk. One guy was actually in a closet. I guess it was a large walk-in closet because there was clothes hanging in behind him. He was the guy that was chairing the meeting. That was interesting. That was the one from the United Kingdom, from the Midlands, in England.
Did you?
And the guy had no. He was either an American or a Canadian, and he's hosting the meeting. And I go, holy crap! And I go like that. I go, okay, what?
I just a question. Did you encourage him to come out of the closet?
I thought the same thing, but that's not part of the. We're accepting of all lifestyles and things like that. But I thought, in the back of my head, I think I'm doing the right thing, because one of the cornerstones of the 12-step program is not for your own sobriety is to help another alcoholic, and participating in a meeting and going to these things is important, right? Especially now, and being able to share. Yeah. So, but I'm in England, and I'm thinking, I put in Jim from Key Largo as my tagline, and I did the same thing in L.A. And it was funny. They thought, and the England one, was it England or the one? Yeah, the England one was. They said, "Oh, well, you're the furthest away," and I go, "Okay, thanks." But there was people in L.A. There was a guy from Detroit, or someplace in Michigan. There was someone from another country. I forget what country it is. But the nice thing about it, the thing I really forgot to say, is because of the time zone differential. When it comes to originally AA meetings, because they were set up because there would be either early in the morning or during lunchtime when people had lunch breaks at work, or after work, right? So a lot of evening meetings. But because of the quarantine, there's people available at all times. So hence, what do? So I get up this morning. I don't really want to, first thing I do, if we're getting up at 8 o'clock, get up and get on a meeting right away. I want to have some coffee and stuff like that. So I could go to the morning meeting at LA that starts at 7. Yeah. And right now it's 8:45 in the United Kingdom. Yeah. Or in another 5 hours, another hour and a half, they'll be having the morning meetings in Sydney, Australia.
I have a suggestion.
14 hours ahead. What?
You ought to get on either Hong Kong or South Korea. They speak English pretty well, and I'm sure you can find something to get on there.
The way I'm thinking about it,
man.
I'm not thinking I'm the. Listen, anybody participating is doing their service, And when you go up, if you don't have anything to say, you can always say, "I'm truly grateful that you're here, and thank you for sharing your stories," and that's it. But yeah, I don't necessarily believe whatever I have to say could have anything to help another person. I don't know, it could. But that's you don't know that stuff, and that's what you're supposed to do. You just share your experience, strength, and hope, and then you do that. Especially this time when people are really struggling. They have so many things, being isolated and not having the access to this outlet, and it works for almost anything now. There's people that are alone. My father's and my stepmother are in Dover, Delaware, in this an extended, I don't even have to call it a multi-layered assisted living facility, because they have their own condominium inside it.
Right.
They're not in the facility where they have people taking care of them. They have their own apartment. And when
senior residents.
Yeah, and there's people in their own apartments that they're asking them not to congregate in the hallways, not to do all these things. So they just don't have any interaction with anybody.
Yeah.
They if they order meals, if they don't cook themselves and they order meals from the cafeteria and stuff like that, they're delivered to their rooms. So they don't really have anybody to talk to. But they go out to their balconies, and luckily it's, oh God, thank God, it's early April, so the weather's getting kind of nice. It's in the 60s, you can go out.
Yeah, it is.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I mean,
beautiful
you
up
can sit there, but they're older people, so someone may not have that great a voice to carry, and then you got to hear them too, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. And I'm not doing that stereotypical thing. It's just the way it is. Especially the ones that are by themselves tend to be older because they lost their mate or their partner.
Yeah.
Because the younger ones usually have someone around.
Yeah.
So.
Well, I consider us lucky here because, among other things, my daughter and her husband are great to hang out with. Yeah. We're having a lot of fun. This is party week. We have Passover on Wednesday, and in fact, we're going to get on maybe Zoom or something else.
Oh, really?
During the middle of the day to
on Wednesday?
connect with our Jewish friends in Spain. While they're having their later.
Yeah. Is that an open Passover meal?
Yeah, it's going to be the Seder, you know. But they're doing it. They're not gathering. They're doing it online also. But we can do that. You know, we'll get on at 1.
Can I sit in on that?
I don't know.
If you do a group conscious thing and ask them, I think that would be wonderful, like a very spiritual.
Really, you want to do that?
I would, but I don't want to intrude, and I wouldn't do it part of a, it's not like I'll be broadcasting. That would be phenomenal to participate. I've seen them before, and my friends would talk about it in the fraternity.
Yeah.
And I thought, and you always hear about, when what are these bitter herbs and salt in the bread and all this stuff. And,
right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I know some of it. I know some of the thing.
I'll ask them if they wouldn't mind an Irish guy sitting in. Okay.
Yeah, I'll be quiet. I'll mute my mic. I'll just sit there. I'll keep my video on so they can see.
Observant.
Yeah, I'll be observant. I'll cover my head. I'll cover my head and all that stuff.
There it is.
And listen.
No, but I think one of the things is,
I wouldn't have been drinking. So
if you do get on, man, you shouldn't be silent. I mean, there's part of it is when we invite people to join us, that they ask questions so that they can find out more. So I don't know. These are mostly Gabby's friends.
Yeah, and listen, I realize that it's important. I wouldn't want anybody to feel uncomfortable about it. So.
No, that's not it. But I'll just pass it along to Gabby. And I know nothing about it myself, and I'm barely going to sit in. I mean, do you know the story of Passover? Everybody knows the story of Passover, right?
Yep. The Pharaoh declared that all the firstborns would be slain, and he was instructed to put a lamb's blood on the doorway to show that you are observant, and that's where the angel of death would pass over.
Moses was. Yeah. And they big Hollywood movie. Then they chased them. The Egyptians chased them to the Red Sea.
Yep.
And God opened up the Red Sea, and
that's not Passover, though, is it? Is that part of Passover?
Yeah.
Well, I thought it was directly that moment, one of the plagues, with the angel of death coming in there. I thought it was that.
Right. First it was the plagues. That's right. Smear the blood.
Yeah.
The lamb's blood on the doorpost. Angel of death, Passover. The Jews' houses, and And finally, finally, it was actually God who slayed the firstborn of the Egyptians, the Pharaoh and all those guys. So that's when the Jews decided to split. This wasn't going anywhere good. Mm-hmm. And then the Egyptians chased them right up to the Red Sea. The Red Sea opened, allowed the Jews to pass. Then it closed over the Egyptians, drowning them all. And then Moses, who wasn't a very good navigator, took 40 years to cross the Sinai desert until he got to
and they did make the bad decision to take Edward G. Robinson with them. Where's your Moses now?
Yeah, exactly. Exactly.
Where's your Moses now?
I couldn't have put that any better. Yeah. There's your punchline right there.
I thought that the idea when Moses went into Mount what was it? Mount.
When he was in the desert.
Yeah,
he went
up to
Sinai.
To get
Sinai.
consult with God. Mount Sinai.
Sinai.
And then he was gone what? A couple days.
Yeah, well, he went down
days,
and came back.
And then all of a sudden it's like leaving your house with a bunch of kids and say, listen, I'm going out to the store. I'll be back in a couple hours, but don't you do?
Yeah, he comes back.
Here, and then you come out here. And
there's the Porsche in the swimming pool.
Yeah.
You know.
Did Megan ever do that?
And he's like, no good.
Did Megan ever
so he
do
goes
that?
back up and he comes back with the tablets and the Ten Commandments and all of that. But and the thing is that it's a service that we do. There's a book we read from called the Haggadah.
Okay.
And everybody is really hungry. And you go through, it's the eldest male who reads from the Haggadah and conducts a service before the meal. But it can be foreshortened or it can be lengthened. Mm-hmm. Depending how religious you are or whatever. And one of my cousins suggested one year, let's really shorten it into this one sentence. They tried to kill us. We won. Let's eat.
Oh, my God.
But I'll pass it in front of Gabby. And I'm honored that you're interested in, but you are a very curious individual. So, cool. I'll see if I can.
What's a typical food?
Swing
what's a
that for
typical
you.
meal like you would have?
Oh, it's wonderful. Well, matzo ball soup.
Yep.
Everybody knows that. Okay. Do you know about gefilte fish?
Yes, I do know about gefilte fish.
The original sushi, if you will. Yeah. Okay. And then it's usually, it could be, I don't know. What is it for the main course? Chicken. It's often chicken. It could also be brisket, maybe.
How about lamb?
But mostly chicken. There is a lamb bone involved, but that's part of the service.
Okay.
But it's typically not lamb. And then there are the accoutrements that go along that, But there are various other. There are bitter herbs, things like that, and they all stand for something. And that's what you learn about. And then the youngest at the table has to answer the 4 questions, which I don't know if I can even remember them because it's been a long time since I've been the youngest. Mm-hmm. But at least the first one is, why is this night different from all other nights? Blah, blah, blah. Well, also, there's some singing that goes on during this. So it's a very festive time.
I have it in my head. I know one sound. Baruch atah.
Yeah. Well, that's Baruch atah in Adonai.
Yeah.
and then that can lead to various other various prayers. Yeah. But that's Jewish for you.
Wow. You know what? Except for like the gefilte fish, I liked lox, but I really wasn't big into pickled herring and all that stuff. I wasn't.
Yes,
I did like the whitefish. I liked the lox and bagels.
Yes.
And the bitter herbs, yes, and brisket. I adore brisket. And chicken. The way they, I used to work in a catering hall. We used to do a lot of Jewish functions. We had the Jewish war vets. We had Jewish social clubs to come in there, and we used to really we understood their and where. It's basically an American meal.
Jim, what did you just say? Jewish war vets?
War vets. Jewish war. Jewish war. W-A-R.
W-H-W.
W.
I can say that. You can't say that.
J-W-V. Jewish war vets.
All right, man.
And most of those guys,
I can't help myself.
Most of those guys. I mean, there was a couple Vietnam vets and stuff like that, but I imagine there's only like a couple of those World War II guys left, and they were the sweetest guys in the world that you were doing. I mean, there was women in the women's auxiliary, and they served in the wax and all that.
Yeah,
stuff, so
the best generation.
They
right?
were what a phenomenal.
The greatest
people
generation, whatever.
Yeah. On a little side note, there was a friend of mine was a rabbi, Rabbi Warma, and he was a Vietnam vet, and he showed up, and he was one of our main rabbis that did our Jewish wedding ceremonies at the catering hall.
Yeah.
And every time, right, we'd ask him, like, he would come in, we knew he had a busy day, especially when they were doing, well, on the days he'd come in and do the weddings, he'd do, it was on the weekends, he'd do 2 or 3 weddings. So he'd say, hey, listen, can we get you something to eat, And he goes, and he was, we love this guy. He was a bodybuilder. I was around 5'5", a bodybuilder. He was in his mid-60s. And he won a Dewar's on the rocks and a turkey sandwich.
There you go.
What a great guy. He was funny. He was the greatest guy in the world. We loved him. He was our favorite. He was our favorite minister out of everyone. Almost everyone at the catering hall was Catholic.
Yeah.
He was Catholic. If we picked any of our priest or any of our religious guys there, it was that rabbi. And we missed him. I hope he's doing well. He should be. He was healthy as a horse. I guess he would be. He'd be in his early 90s right now. So.
Well, yeah. Hey, I was going to.
No, he wouldn't be in his early 90s. If he's Korean War
no,
vet.
there was no. Oh yeah.
Late 80s.
No.
Okay.
What I was going to. Yeah. No. Just. What I was going to say is, it's interesting, and it used to be piece of urban folklore, but during the reading of the Haggadah, the service there were 4 times when you lift a glass of wine and drink it.
Mm-hmm.
So, and what you would do is, and the kids are all gathered around the table, and you would give them a little sip of wine, but it was Manischewitz, very sweet wine. That wine, that sweet wine.
Mm-hmm.
And so the kids would half like it, but not enough to really drink very much. But the urban folklore was because Jewish kids were introduced to wine at a very early age, they tended not to become alcoholics.
Oh, I thought you were going to say Jewish kids mainly became Scotch drinkers because that was more of a dry drink. You know what I mean? No, you're right. You're right. Oh, well, matter of fact,
but I don't think
you know what?
I don't think
I know people of the Jewish tradition in AA and stuff like that. It's not a I mean, some cultures it ravages more. I think it is the social aspect of it. But once you fall into it, I mean, especially when college rolls around and stuff like that, it'll hit you. And I guess some groups it could hit a little heavier than that. But same thing with drugs, and well, drugs hit everyone.
Well, there were different sensitivities to this stuff as well.
Yeah.
So that Asiatic people tend to be more sensitive, and American Native Americans that are descendants of Asiatics tend to be more sensitive to alcohol.
Well,
if
you consider, I mean, when was alcohol was introduced in Western culture? Let's say it got introduced and was heavily in, oh gosh, let's say Roman times, 2,000, 3,000 years. And then you had Egyptians and with the accidental discovery of fermentation.
Yeah.
And the people that would end up abusing it, you think that it was so weak in the beginning. Mead was, and we had a discussion a couple of years ago on the show, the history of alcohol. Wine and beer was very weak. It was about half the content now, and now you have and liquor came about more so about 400, 500 years ago, where they started introducing those the distillation process.
Distilled
1600s
spirits,
maybe, distilled spirits, and then so it was a stepped process, and then it gets introduced, and you got whiskey. It shows up, and you have people, and so in the West, the people that were most sensitive died. They just never procreated. They just couldn't. This is a theory. They just couldn't. They got involved with it. You just didn't have that many children, and you couldn't pass on the sensitivity. The sensitivity thing didn't pass. You either did or you didn't.
Yeah.
And then you got to. So you have a certain amount of people that like to do it, and they survive, and there's a lot of people that like to do it and they die, right? Well, right here, it shows up in American Indians. They didn't have any exposure to alcohol, and it shows up. It's only been 200 years for them.
Yeah, they only had peyote.
Yeah, only 200 years you get introduced like that. The Irish have been doing it for hundreds and hundreds of years, and they're still going strong with it. So,
but I think
and you guys are doing it for 4,000 years.
Well, I don't know if it's been that long, but
I mean, wine.
Really,
you know what I mean? Wine. You had wine was around at least since the Odyssey and all that stuff.
But I think there's never been a culture so far. Check me on this. I can't completely vouch for this. There are always exceptions to the rule. But I think there's never been a culture that hasn't used intoxicants to ward off the evils of reality.
I can see that. So
yeah, and they use it to a greater or lesser extent. And if you're a good Buddhist and you use it moderately, well, okay, that confers some, I don't know, immunity on you to what I call the evils of reality. But of course, you can go overboard, and if it's ruining your reality instead of helping your reality, then you have to do something about that, right?
Yep. Speaking about going overboard, we've gone an hour and 10 minutes.
Have we?
Yep, we have.
Well, don't count that first 10 minutes I wasn't on.
Well, it's part of the show, but okay, I won't count it. We don't count it. But I'll be remiss before I say anything. I want to thank one of our. I don't know if she's listening, but I told her to give her a shout out. Sugar Jones, someone I follow. She's an an educator I follow on Twitter, and there's you hear about our wonderful healthcare workers and first responders and the people that work in the stores, but remember the educators, they're going to be working from home, and they gotta be nimble right now in how the kids are being taught. I mean, there are people that did homeschooling and all that, but what's the most boring event? The prom at a homeschool high school, right? What do you think, Joel?
Yeah, they deserve a shout out.
Yeah.
I agree.
Yeah. So
Yeah.
Sugar Jones,
All right,
thank
man.
you for your service and teaching those kids. I know she was working on. She has a math package she had to work on, and so Wednesday, no matter what, you're going to be busy. What time is your meal? What time are you going to be busy?
Well, so it's 2 meals. So, we'll have our evening meal here with real matzo ball soup and that sort of thing. And then the virtual one of a teleconference is going to be at 1.
Well, what I'm trying to drive at right now, do you want to do another show? And I want to know when you're available.
Probably. This is ridiculous, but it's a busy week.
Yeah, that's fine. You can do Friday if you want.
Yeah, Friday I think could work.
Friday, same time.
Let's try for Friday. Yeah,
Friday.
It's always fun chatting with you, man. I always enjoy it. Yeah.
Oh, me too.
Yeah.
And send me a text if that's amenable to the participants in the theater.
Will do.
Yeah, and
yeah.
I'll be there with bells on. Okay?
There you go.
Yeah, I'm doing a show
Sounds
with my
great.
sister tomorrow, and Thursday with Steve, my neighbor, who we're doing it the same way you're doing it.
Phoning it in?
Oh, yeah, because, being responsible. The microphone should be clean now, I guess, right? When they roll the mics out.
By now. It should
by
be.
now.
It's been in 14
3 weeks,
days.
3 weeks, yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. Should be cool.
Yeah. They should be.
All right,
good.
man.
Okay, Joel.
Yeah.
Give my best to your
All right,
family.
take care.
Take care. Did I
And
forget
you.
anybody? Trent,
Yeah, everything's
Megan.
cool. Yeah, all them. Everybody, they're so wonderful. Can't say enough. All right.
That's great.
Catch up
Take
with you
care.
soon. Yep.
Bye.
Bye.
Well, thanks. We did another episode. You wasted another hour and 13 minutes if you got a chance to listen to the show. Maybe you learned something, maybe you didn't. But we're going to be back tomorrow. I think the show is 7:30. And maybe Wednesday I'll do a show with my father. Maybe get him on the horn. But Tuesday night at 7:30 will be supposed to be Peg and Mark. I hope they don't flake out on me on that. But that's a horrible thing to say. And if you do like us, if you're listening to the show, please follow me on Twitter, on Facebook, on Instagram. If you have any questions or any topics you'd like to talk about, just send me a message. The email is jim@keysbartender.com. That's jim@keysbartender.com. And if you decide to, if it sounds like we have a lot of people, it seems we get at least, it looks like 600 people per episode. So if we get some people that really want to know when the live episodes are going to air, I'll start posting them the day before, and it'll give you an opportunity if you listen to on a Spreaker app to it live, you'll be able to comment or chat live with me, and if that's something you'd like to do. So don't be all freaked out about it. Until then, take care. This is Jim the Keys Bartender signing out.